I'm just itching to play again. Get some videos up there with Live Play 2014. Making these in late March 2014. So this is going to be a brand new Crushing the Micro series. You guys maybe have seen my old ones. Where basically I'm going to start at NL2 and I'm just going to progress up the stakes, and just talk about. I'm going to play about 4 tables at once normally, and just talk about how the games. How to crush the games in 2014. I'm actually trying to get some other tables here. I got this filter running for NL2 tables. I'm just going to do, and I'm going to alternate between full ring and 6 max as well. I'm not going to play both at the same time. I don't think it's necessary at this limit. It's just kind of confusing anyways. So right now I'm trying to get some full ring tables up here. I've got the minimum VPIP set to 20, but it's not really something that I actually use too much anymore. I'm more interested in just finding the whales at the table, and I think that the easier way to do that in today's games is just to sit down and start playing. Because a lot of times at stakes this low especially, you get some really, really nitty players, and they can bring down that table average. So I also do want to start my own tables in some cases. I saw it on this guy's left because I'm assuming he might be a fish. I'd love to have position on him, of course. He sits out immediately. It's definitely always... Oops, actually I should be joining the higher players to the flop tables, I guess. It's definitely always good to start your own tables, I think, as well. I think that as I've said many times, you guys may have seen in my videos. Fish they don't like to wait for tables. They don't really do waiting lists. That's what regs do. They got limited time. They just want to play right now. So I think that by starting your own table, a lot of times it'll fill up really quickly. Although it's not happening right here, with a lot of bad players. So. Not really the case here. I'm not going to sit here and pick and choose tables too much. I'm just going to try to get on some. Because it's still at NL2 these days, I don't really worry too much about table selection. I mean, if you have time to do it, that's fine. But ultimately, I don't think it's the most... It's not that important at these stakes. There's still plenty of fish everywhere. So we do have 2 players that sat down at the table here, both bought in for sort of weird stack sizes. That's often a tell that they're not that strong of players. We had another... They're all buying in for $1.60. Not really sure why. It's kind of strange. This is a flopper you could check behind, but I know nothing about this guy, and I don't see any reason why he wouldn't give me credit the first time I play a hand with him, so or not, but I'm definitely going to call the mini raise, and we'll kind of just see how the hand plays out. At this point, since he did that little insta mini raise, I don't really see any point in betting here because he seems to either have a strong hand or just nothing. I don't really mind giving him a free card too much, and the reason is I just don't want to play a big pot. I want to try to get some pot control and be able to make a big call perhaps on the river. And with that card, obviously, it'll be... we might actually be shoving. It depends what he does, of course. This is a really weird spot because there is a backdoor flush draw, of course, that got through. It was a flop straight, of course, but I don't really expect him to have that too often. It's really weird whether we should shove for value or not here. I think I am ahead most of the time, but I think the problem is when I do shove for value here, I don't think I actually get called by that much. I don't think a king calls me that much. So I think I'm actually just going to play it safe here and just make the call on the... and he was just on an air bluff, and that's kind of what we thought on the flop, is he's... Actually, that's something I didn't really talk about, is also when they sit down at a short-handed table like this guy just did. He was one of the first people. You often get these goofballs that are just in there trying to they'll run wild bluffs like that on you. So really what I try to do is just try to moderate things and excuse me, and that's why I check the turn back, because I just want to control the size of the pot. And he's either that's a kind of spot where it's likely he either has me beat I'm going to mark these players as fish. This guy just posted under the gun. This guy's probably a fish. Something I'll be talking about is this new PokerStars feature of players playing on smartphones and tablets. A lot of people have said that they are probably fish. I would probably tend to agree. I think this is a spot where it's a pretty easy spot to light 3-bet and sort of make things difficult for him. He just sat down. Something I'll be talking about in this that I want to talk about also is something I call like first encounter type thing, where you haven't played a hand versus the guy before. I think that you'll tend to get a little bit more respect. But then again, at NL2, I don't know. It's I don't play these stakes a whole lot these days, so we'll see how things are different. But I think with most of the tight nets, and actually, I guess I probably shouldn't tag this guy a fish just because he's got the phone symbol there. But I will definitely tag this guy because he posted under the gun. But it is something to keep in mind with that little. Actually, I guess I've got the layout locked here, so you can't see the phone symbol. But it's something that a lot of people have been commenting on. That a lot of weaker players seem to be playing on smartphones and tablets, because I think that serious players are normally on a laptop or a PC where you can run all your software and play a lot more tables and stuff like that. But not always the case. Always, this guy did buy in for full, so we don't want to make assumptions right away. But we did see this guy over here. He posted under the gun, which is definitely something that just no good player would ever do. I think I made a video actually maybe about 6 months back, maybe even a year back, of the top 5 signs of bad players, and that was definitely one of them. Good players regular players just always post when the big blind comes to them. There's no reason really to ever post out of position. It's just paying the blinds more often than you should, which makes no sense at all. I just want to get back to my point about the hand that we played with Ace Queen there against that player. Just always keep in mind that also when you're starting tables, players love to they just think that you can never have anything, and they'll definitely love to run wild bluffs on you. We got a spot here with aces where we're actually deep, which will happen at these stakes. You can buy in deep. So going off the idea that they probably don't fold to 3-bets too much at NL2, I'm going to make it a little bit more than normal. Normal would be about 4 times the size of his raise here. I'm going to make it 5 times, just because I think I'll probably get called by a lot of the bad players here, but it's not the case there. And really, it's just because we're deep. We're both 250 big blinds deep, and I'd just rather get more money in the pot to charge him more for his. Wow, it's quite a big pot there with just pocket nines for an overpair. NL2 never ceases to amaze. The stuff I've seen just getting ready for this video already. It's just, I've called NL2 a circus for years. It really is still a circus. It's just, I guess I haven't really even talked about sort of my strategy yet, but, my strategy in all these videos is to, or especially at the lowest limits, is to play, it's the same at any limit. Play relatively tight from early position, like quite tight actually. Those will be the first, like on table 2 here. By the way, this is going to be table 1, table 2, table 3, and table 4. Would be to play, so I'm under the gun position right now. Early position would be these 2 seats. We're only playing like, pairs. I play all pairs, I think, at these stakes. Ace, King, Ace, Queen, and that's pretty much it. And then I start opening a little bit as I go around the table, and then from the cutoff position here, and the button especially, and the hijack a little bit as well, I'm definitely opening up, and I'm playing, I'm playing about 40% of all hands dealt to me. Roughly about 3 or 4 times as many hands as I'm playing from the under the gun, or from the early positions here. And in the blinds, I'm playing, I'm mostly 3-betting. I'm playing probably about 20% of hands, fairly tight, a little bit looser than the early positions. But oftentimes, because of my positional disadvantage, I want to be coming in with a pot with a raise instead. So we just saw a limp from this guy here, so I'm actually going to give him the fish tag there, because that's another sign of bad players limping. But as I was saying, from the blinds, I'm often going to be actually 3-betting when I do play a hand from the blinds, especially when, or really only when the raise comes from late position, because I expect them to have as I just talked about, I have an extremely strong, extremely wide range, from late position. I expect most players to have the same. So, if I want to play a hand like Queen 10, I probably wouldn't actually play that hand that often. I'd probably actually just fold this in either of these scenarios, but in this scenario right here, I'm not going to play the hand period because this guy opened from under the gun. If it was perhaps push or fold, this guy right here, who was raising, I might consider. I know I just said I only play ace king, ace queen from these two positions, but it's a little bit different when there are known fish left behind to act, so I will actually open my range ever so slightly. As I was saying here with the Queen 10, if I was going to play that hand, I would pretty much only play it if somebody in late position opens, and I would be 3-betting them. Versus an under the gun early position open like that, I'm just going to let it go, because I think it's going to be dominated by a lot of hands in this range, such as ace queen, such as the hand that I have here on table 1. And we just have an obvious fold here. And we actually forgot to mark this guy as a fish as well. It's really important just to mark people as fish. My Canadian brothers, I'm Canadian, so I love Canadians. We're such good poker players. Well, some of us are good, some of us are not so good. But anyways, I can't remember what was going on about there, but yeah, I guess I was just going over the general strategy for NL2 here. So it is pretty much still a circus here, even in 2014, as we're saying. The two players to my right here on table 1 both have a VPIP of 50% or more, which is, would generally most people